All right.
Nice.
So, here we go.
Fucking here we go.
Episode 1, fucking shooting the shit.
Fucking yeah.
Shooting the shit over in King's Corner, enjoying these beautiful mountain views.
I thought it was Kinnear Center.
Kinnear Center? Yeah, no. Both. Why not both? Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah, man. Fucking, it's been a good day.
It has been. It has
Good
been a
day.
good day, yeah.
Had some nice pizza.
That's a nice pizza.
Yeah.
It's fucking really good.
So what's we're seeing a little bit of our friend Miley Cyrus over here. She's being accused of copywriting the song. This song came out so long ago. I thought it already would have been a big deal.
What song is it?
The Flowers. I can buy myself flowers.
Oh.
And then the song Bruno Mars. I should have bought you flowers.
Oh, okay.
And then the whole thing. Like I
Right.
heard. I thought this would have been a thing the week it came out.
Mm-hmm.
How is this a thing right now? This is
Yeah.
really stupid.
But she's been sued?
Apparently, I don't know. The internet never lies. So,
For sure.
it's 100% facts 100% of the time.
Always.
Yeah.
Nice.
But, so.
Fuck yeah. I mean, look at her. She's got, like, you can tell, like, a lot of passion, like, into her microphone.
In the microphone?
Yeah.
I can just imagine all the bad edits that people are going to do, writing in that, and then just fucking throwing a bunch of dicks in her mouth. Like, look at that hand posture, man. You just got that.
Yeah. I mean, it's perfect, right? She's got, like, the one end down here. The
Yeah.
other up here, fucking...
Also, I'm going to be honest, that does not look like Bruno Mars, even a little bit.
6 foot long dick? No.
That looks like someone dressed up as Bruno Mars for Halloween.
Is that how you're gonna go?
It's Bruno Mars.
That's how you're gonna go to get your fucking kid's candy. My kid has COVID. You're gonna show up like that. Fucking.
Yes.
We need all the candy.
I need all the candy. Yeah. So we were saying earlier the idea of if you just go out Halloween, but you're too old and you want trick or treat, and you just say, hey, I got a kid at home. They're sick with COVID.
Well, have you ever seen the show Better Call Saul?
Yeah.
You know how like they're the couple where it's like fucking Saul and then his wife there.
Yeah.
Like they just like run scams and shit. I think.
Yeah. They're just running
like that dynamic,
bullshitting people the whole time.
Yeah. And then like at the end they're just like having like some wine or like a smoke or something.
Yeah.
Just chilling, just fucking having fun. You could do that with Audrey and just eat candy and just fucking chill.
Yeah.
Down some back alley somewhere, fucking eating like Snickers bars and fucking, maybe a household hand out like a full caramel milk or something.
Dude, actually, we got to do that in Calgary. Go to a big city.
Yeah.
And there's way more people, way more potential for candy, and you can give to the homeless. So you're technically being Robin Hood, Steal from the rich, give to the poor. You're taking candy from all these rich fucks.
This is true, yeah.
And then you give them to all the homeless guys. Dude, do you know how happy
I don't know
as a homeless guy to get candy?
On Halloween?
On Halloween?
Fucking, you're just like chilling on the street. Guys like going to a fucking chocolate bar.
You're just the guy walking around just giving out like Kit Kats and freaking, Oreos and I don't think Oreos.
What are the good neighborhoods in Calgary?
I don't know Calgary
I
at
haven't
all.
spent much time there.
I've been to the airport.
Yeah. I've done a couple trips downtown, and I have a buddy who lives there. But that's it. Like I don't know much. I don't like spending time there.
That was just
I leave the mountains and I get depressed, and then I'm like and then all of a sudden there's just buildings.
Yeah.
That's it.
You look around, no more mountains.
Yeah.
All of a sudden there's buildings.
It's just
mountains,
fucking awesome, and then it's just flat, and then it's just buildings, and it just doesn't do it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think, also mountains, the ratio of mountains to big buildings is very satisfying. And also the ratio of people with homes to people without homes.
In Calgary?
In the mountains. Well, out here, Yeah. It's a pretty good ratio. I think there's like 2 homeless guys in Banff.
Yeah, there's not
maybe like 3 in Canmore.
Yeah. I kind of missed that. Like when I first moved here.
You miss homeless people?
Yeah. No, I really do. Because it was just because I used to work with them a lot,
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved working. Like I used to work at like a homeless shelter for a bit, and I worked at a food bank for a couple of years, and it was just so satisfying, Like I really fucking loved it. Like every day I left the food bank, I felt so fucking good. You know, I just felt like something good to do. You know, like especially when I like wasn't being paid for it and I was just kind of just wasting the time. You know, I'm just like I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna spend my time doing fucking just stupid shit. We used to fuck around a lot in this warehouse.
Yeah.
Me and my buddy Jacob and another guy named Elijah. We used to just fuck around, and it was so much fun. You know, this one summer we worked. We did what we were supposed to do, but we just had so much fun with it. You know, and I do miss that. I think Canmore in the winter it has a homeless shelter, but it's only a few people. I think there's 8 beds there. So
that is fair. Yeah, I don't know. I've never worked with the homeless people. I've very rarely actually talked to any homeless guys, and it kind of scares the shit out of me.
I love it. In Vancouver, have you been to Vancouver?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know East Hastings?
I didn't really. I knew a little bit about it, and then I got a hotel that was right on the edge of East Hastings.
Uh-huh.
It was like
really?
I was like mid Hastings. Wasn't west, wasn't east. It was like I looked down one way and I was like, that's a lot of homeless people.
Yeah.
Fucking shit.
When I my first trip to that city, I met this girl in the hostel that I was staying at, and she was like, "Yeah, there's this street with like 500 homeless people," and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like I haven't seen this street at all, and I went looking for it. I was like, I need to find this street, and I was. I
think you're the only one I know who's ever looked deliberately searching for East Hastings to be like, I need to find these homeless people.
I need to see it, and it was this one day when I was switching hostels, so. The hostel that I was staying in was full, so I had to go to another hostel. So I had to take all my shit. I had all of my belongings. You know, I had this giant 60-liter fucking backpack and another backpack on my chest and like 2 bags of food because that was my whole life. You know, I fucking took all my shit and I was just fucking around, just traveling. So I was going. And I was walking down East Hastings Street, and I felt like I was like one of them. I was like, yeah, you know what, I belong here, you know, because like they were kind of looking at me.
One of us.
Like, like he must be new here, you know. Like they might as well have like been like welcome to our place. But
did you talk to any of them?
I don't think that time, but I went back last summer.
Yeah.
I went to visit a friend and
who lived in East Hastings.
No, she was far away actually.
Oh yeah,
but I had to go see East Hastings Street anyways.
Fair enough.
I had to go see it again, and it's
make a day trip out of it. Take time out of your day, plan it on the map.
Yeah. Well, I have to. Every time I go, it's tradition, you know. So I go, and I didn't have all my shit with me this time. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna go check it out, and I was walking down the street and I saw all these people, and you know, there's I don't know if it's fentanyl or if it's like. Maybe probably not carfentanil. I don't know what drug it is, but a really common like symptom is when they like fucking like stretch it out, like they fold in half almost.
Oh yeah.
And they I don't know. It's almost like their spine becomes like very elastic or very.
I think it might be a fentanyl thing. Yeah.
Maybe yeah. So I saw a lot of people like doing that. And then one guy came up to me and he's like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And I was like, "I'm good. How are you doing?" And he's like, "Man, I'm good. Do you know where I can test my drugs?" And I was like, "There's an ambulance," because I walked past an ambulance down the street. And I guess they did some drug testing and shit. So I was like, "Yeah, you know, there's an ambulance down that way. Maybe they'll do it." And he's like, "Oh, fucking right. Thanks, man. Okay, cool." And I don't know what drugs he had, but he's like, "Yeah, okay." So it's so common there, right? It's just so normal to... because everybody has it. It's just like a community of people who just do that. You know?
Well, I think there's a whole open drug use thing in Vancouver that they've been doing for a while. It's like a little project.
I know they're very progressive.
Safe usage, whatever. But I know since they've been doing that, like the homeless population has like gone way up, and like the amount of...
Is it?
Yeah, and like the drug use cases have gone way up and stuff, and a bunch of shit like that. But
I haven't seen much in regards
this is what
to like the results of the.
This is what I've read, not what I haven't seen it because I went to Vancouver once. Yeah. So I can't. I'm not fucking professional on
one
this.
And done. You're like, okay, East Hastings Street, no thanks.
Well, I mean, I lived in Toronto for like 5 years, and then I was just like, wow.
Is there an equivalent street in Toronto? Toronto, Ontario.
Gran Torino.
Have you seen Gran Torino?
No.
Fucking good movie.
Good movie?
Good movie.
I heard it is,
Clint Eastwood. So good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a racist fuck. It's so fucking, it's so good. He really is.
Clint Eastwood, yeah. See, he's one of those actors where I know his name, but I don't know what he looks like at all.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm sure if I saw him, I'd be like, oh, I know this guy.
Well, he's been acting for, like, fucking decades now.
Well, I feel like he was big in, like, the 80s and 90s.
I think so.
Or something. And then, you know.
I don't know when he was 70s or 80s. Yeah,
something like that.
Too. Yeah.
You know.
I don't know which one. But
yeah, back in Toronto, there was definitely a couple areas that were, like, really sketchy.
Yeah.
What's it? Kensington Market? Kensington? Yeah. So that's like a whole area where, I mean, when I went through, it didn't seem too sketchy, but it definitely seemed like the closest thing to, like, and people might hate me for this, but it's almost like third world country vibes in the middle of Toronto, where it's all like run down and ghetto and lots of little shops and lots of little shit. Like, it reminded me of being like in like a little market in like Jamaica or in like one of the Caribbean islands.
Yeah. Okay.
Where it's like everyone has their stalls and everyone has their thing and whatever, and like it's a lot of like tin buildings and like shitty tin roofs and whatever.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, I haven't been there in a couple of years, so maybe it's better, maybe it's worse, but I remember it was like, yeah, a lot of like sketchy shit, and I was like, I could definitely see people buying a lot of drugs here. I did buy weed there at the time, you know, so whatever. But you know, it was one of those things where I'm like, yeah, there's definitely that kind of vibe. I need the
full experience. I need the weed.
Yeah. Well, it was a weird time, man, in Toronto where it was like things were open that you could buy weed at different dispensaries.
Yeah.
But they weren't really proper dispensaries.
Yeah.
They were like kind of, but not really.
Yeah.
So that was a whole interesting thing. I don't know how those kept on going. I heard a lot of them got raided by the cops.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
In the city that I used to live in Sarnia.
Yeah.
It was really close to like a lot of reserves, like Indian reserves or like indigenous people reserves, and fucking it was so funny because just I don't know, like the maybe a year or two before we became legal in Canada. Yeah. They would sell weed, you know, they would just sell it. Like it was like just like a shop now, you know?
Yep.
And they would get raided by the police sometimes, but a lot of the time they couldn't because they were, I don't know if they were protected somehow because
some kind of weird gray zone or
they
something.
They were on like their land, right? So they were like, yeah, we're gonna fucking sell this, and same with like their cigarettes. Technically, it was illegal to smoke them. Yeah. So I don't know if it was illegal to smoke on the reserve, but it was definitely illegal to smoke off the reserve. So my one buddy, when I was young, because we always used to get the shitty reserve cigarettes. We called them res cigarettes.
Res cigarettes, yeah.
You got a res, man. It's fucking gross, but sell it to you for 50 cents, you know. And,
I had a buddy who would go to the reserve, buy a giant fucking pack of reserve cigarettes.
You like 200 of them.
Right? Yeah. And then he'd sell them for $1 each.
Yeah.
Right. At the high school, right? And then he would just be like, $1 for a smoke, right? But he would keep them in a Belmont pack.
Oh, no.
And pull it out and then be like, oh, yeah, it's a good one. It's a belly.
Really?
Well, I mean, they knew eventually.
You can tell on the filter.
I mean, they figured it out eventually, yeah.
Belmonts had the charcoal filters too, so...
yeah, theirs was just like yellow.
You would be able to tell for sure.
Yeah. If you're a smoker, for sure,
yeah. But, I remember one time, my buddy, he pulled out like a reserve cigarette, or like a bag of them, in front of a cop. And the cop was like, oh, fuck, I wish you didn't do that. Because she's like, I have to take them now. I have to. Like, they're illegal to have. I don't know.
That's so weird. That's gotta be some kind of like the tobacco companies put it into the laws or persuaded for the laws to be made that you can only have tobacco regulated by the tobacco companies. Then they claim that it's for safety, but cigarettes are not safe. Cigarettes are terrible for you. They're super addictive. Yeah. And, you know, they're killing people by the millions. But that's the regulated safe cigarettes, you know? And then it's like, oh, well, and then they make up a bunch of shit. And I'm sure there's some, you know, bad stories or bad things that really happened. But I don't know. On average, do you think reserve cigarettes are safer or do you think they're more dangerous?
I think they're the same.
Same? Yeah. Right? They 100%. Just taste way worse.
Yeah. And then, like, because it's hard to predict, like, because I haven't smoked in fucking, I don't know, 8-9 years now. Yeah. thankfully. But fucking yeah, I remember like you could get you'd never know what type of cigarette you would get, right? So you would try it.
Yeah.
And you know, if you bought brand name, you would buy Canadian Classics or
Yep.
Belmont or fucking anything else. You would kind of know how strong they would be, and you would kind of know. But then when you bought the reserve cigarettes, it was always, you know, this could be weak as fuck, or this could be super fucking strong. And I remember, like, sometimes you'd be hauling on a fucking cigarette for, like, you know, a good, like, I don't know, 15 seconds, just going, and you're trying to fucking get that feeling, you know, of like nicotine
you're trying to get
entering
the
your
rush.
fucking body. Yeah, you're trying to satisfy that craving.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't fucking work. You know,
And
you have to
nothing's
smoke
going.
like 5 of them to fucking get it.
Yeah.
And then other times you would try it, and then you go, oh, and then you start fucking coughing.
You're just
Within, like,
dying.
half a second, yeah. And it was just the worst. So
Yeah.
it was hard to tell. But,
So I was never a cigarette smoker, but I did vape for about a year. And so during that time,
did you have nicotine vape?
Yeah. It was the nicotine vape. So I started at like a 3 and went to a 6, and then I had the big fucking box one. You know, the giant batteries, and then you'd like go, and then giant
Was it like
freaking
cotton
cloud.
candy taste or
Mint.
mint?
Always mint.
Yeah?
Always mint.
Really?
So good.
Oh yeah.
But after a year, my lungs hurt worse than after like 10 years of smoking weed. So it was
Really?
like, yeah. So I had to quit. And then after I quit, you know, my lungs felt better. And now I'm not smoking weed. I feel great. But
Yeah.
so then I went up to 12, because there's like different levels, like 3, 6, 12, and then 20.
Okay.
And then 20 was the highest of like the juice I could find. And so then I was hitting the 20,
Yeah.
and that was feeling like a good hit, right?
Uh-huh.
But then every now and then, the shop didn't have the 20,
Oh, yeah.
so I'd buy the 12,
Yeah.
and then it
The
was
exact same
so
thing as the-
weak.
yeah.
It was the same flavor,
Yeah.
but it felt like so fucking weak.
You just notice it, right? You
Oh,
know
right away. It felt like I was
something's
just
missing.
hauling on pure air. It
Yeah,
wasn't my satisfying, you know?
That's it. Yeah.
And then my brother, a little dickhead, freaking started vaping when he was in high school and shit. And I'm like, you motherfucker. Like, bro, you shouldn't be doing this. And I'm yelling at him. But meanwhile, I was smoking weed since earlier than he was vaping. So
When did you start smoking weed?
12, 13.
Yeah.
Way too young. Way too young.
I was 13.
Don't smoke weed when you're young. But
I was just a PSA, you know.
yeah,
Like,
PSA. Wait till you're like 20,
Totally
25 maybe. Honestly, I think even if you wait till you're 18, that's way better than waiting as young as I was smoking. But I mean, all my friends were all smoking every single day.
Yeah.
And it was
That's
the thing. We all would get together. We'd all smoke and we'd all hang out. And it was a thing. Like, it was an activity.
Yeah.
It was a bonding thing.
Well, that's exactly it. You know,
Right?
it's like a community. You know, like even for me, that's why I started smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
It was initially because a girl that I had a crush on was like a super big smoker, and I was like, ooh, yeah.
She's hot.
Yeah, exactly.
If I smoke cigarettes, maybe she'll think I'm good.
That was it.
Enough, right?
So
Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, oh, I just want to fucking try it. And you know, my mom and dad smoked my entire childhood, right? And then I started, and then my brother started like a couple days after. And yeah, you know, I would smoke with my brother and also with all of our friend groups and shit. And we would always, you know, go out to like the smoke pit. You know, it was like this like fenced in area where, you know, the youth were just allowed to fucking smoke, and it was great. You know, we had
Which
so much
is
fun.
wild to me. That like the teachers don't go out and be like, "Hey, you fucking assholes,
Yeah, don't give a
stop
fuck.
smoking there."
Don't
They're
give
just
a
like,
fuck.
whatever.
It was there to smoke at, you know? It
Yeah.
was like this fucking, I don't know how big it was. It was like just this tiny little place with a bench and
Yep.
a pit of dirt, and it was just
Yep.
littered with like cigarette butts. and
Everywhere.
fucking-
Oh
It
yeah,
was
so
the
bad.
worst. Yeah. So we'd all go out there and we'd all fuck around, just joke around, have
Yeah.
a good time. And, you know, you have your smoke, and then you go back in and fucking
Yeah.
whatever else you were doing, and fucking, yeah, it was something. It was quite the time. But smoking weed was illegal at the time, so we didn't smoke weed in there.
Well, we didn't give. I mean, the thing was, and it was funny because you weren't allowed to buy your own cigarettes, but it wasn't illegal to smoke a cigarette, which is a weird
No,
thing.
for sure. You can always smoke. Any age you are.
Any age you're allowed to smoke.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to. But
can't
buying
buy
it is
Yeah.
illegal.
Yeah.
So you have to say, oh, I just bought it from. I stole it from my parents, or I someone whatever. But then it's so dumb.
Yeah.
It's such a backwards thing.
I think it gets to a point where when there's
It's like
a
we can do
certain
arrest.
amount of-
Are you gonna arrest a 15-year-old?
That's it too. But also, like, I mean, you could confiscate his cigarettes, but he's pretty well addicted. You know?
Yeah.
Like you take that away from a kid, and I mean, yeah, you can do it, but what does that serve? You know?
Yeah.
He's gonna find some more.
There's gonna be more sneaky and more whatever, and trying to be hiding it more or whatever.
That's it. And I remember when I was young, because I started smoking when I was 12, so I was fucking really, really young. And I remember it being such a hidden thing because I used to take them from my mom.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can't let anybody know, you know, like this has to be a really underground kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'd be walking down the street and like kind of smoking, but I'd like kind of hide it away, and I'd be like, okay, like whatever. And then like 1 or 2 times my neighbor caught me, and she was like, Sam, are you smoking? And I was like, no, I'm about to smoke.
That's amazing.
Everywhere. Yeah, it was fucking awesome. But yeah, I remember just how like it was a big social thing, you know? It was a big like shame thing. Like I'm not fucking smoking. I don't fucking smoke. No, definitely not.
Yeah.
I'm 13, 14, 15. I stopped when I was 17.
No. Yeah, definitely not. No.
Yeah, exactly.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was an era, and this was like such a... So, you know, like glass bongs, water bongs, right?
Yeah.
So we did a thing called poppers.
Yep.
Where
tobacco and weed together.
You put tobacco first, you fill like half the bowl, and then you put like a little layer of weed on top.
It's supposed to get you way higher.
Well, yes, but no.
Okay.
It's because it was a tobacco rush. So when you're used to only smoking weed and then all of a sudden you have a big nicotine hit, it's like smoking like this much of a cigarette all in one go.
Yeah.
Right? And so then, you know, you have that and then it smashes right to your head. You blow it out and it's like headbutting a brick wall, man. It's like you're just such a huge head rush and it like hurts but feels great and you're like dizzy and you're like coughing. I've seen people throw up so many times from taking poppers. I've thrown up from taking poppers before, but it was the thing. And then it's like I met a lot of people who were like, they would say, oh, I need to smoke weed, but they could only smoke poppers. They didn't like to smoke a joint. They hated joints.
Really?
They hated just regular weed bowls. They hated anything that wasn't their popper because they were so used to that one specific way of smoking, which is so wild to me.
Yeah.
And honestly, looking back, it feels like it's like the poor man's weed, you know? It's like mixing it with cigarettes, you know, you can't just enjoy it by itself, you know? Like the purest of like, and then the other thing was people would have a popper bong and that would be like, once you hit a few poppers or like a good dozen or 2 dozen poppers out of the bong, it's fucked. It's like every time it tastes like cigarettes. It smells like cigarettes. You can't wash it out properly. You get bong cleaner or whatever. It doesn't really clean out properly. It's gross. Yeah. And that was a big indicator to tell me what does nicotine in cigarettes do to your lungs compared to weed. Yeah. And
I think they're both bad for you, but speaking from personal experience, you know, now that I've quit smoking, I would rather fucking smell weed fucking all day long than smell cigarettes, you know? Like for a couple hours, you know? It's just, I don't know, it's just, because when I was a kid, I loved the smell of cigarettes, you know? My parents would always smoke.
Oh, yeah?
I'd be like, fuck yeah, that's such a good smell, and my grandparents smoked.
Hated it,
Really?
Yeah.
I fucking loved it. I would walk through the big fucking clouds of smoke, and I'd be like, fucking, like yeah, like, that's so good. Like I don't know why I just did. Yeah. But now it's just so opposite, you know. But when I smell weed, I'm like, oh, that's like okay, you know, it's not the worst.
It's
not
like
the best, but it's not the worst.
Intoxicating for me.
Yeah.
It's like
when we were coming up.
When we were just coming up in the patio up those stairs, I was like, oh, and it calls my name, you know. It's like, please come smoke me, and I'm like, oh no.
What if you switched to edibles? You said you don't eat.
No, I don't care. No? I don't care about edibles. I like the smoking part.
Yeah?
I love the smoking part. It's like, you know, rolling the joint and then, you know, smoking and... Yeah. It's like the nice, like, breathing it in and then holding it for a few seconds and then the taste and the smell and then it slowly, like, it comes on you like a heavy blanket and it just comes on and then all of a sudden... all your stressing and panicking kind of goes away unless you got to do some shit later. Yeah. Then you're like, fuck. Just goes I'm way too high.
Exactly, yeah.
I got to work in 3 hours.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, no, I know the feeling. It's one of those things, especially for me, like, I really try to stay sober. I mean, we're drinking wine now, but I do my best to stay as sober as I can. You know, like I try not to drink too much coffee, and I try not to drink too much alcohol or smoke too much weed or eat too many edibles.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's they're all things that I fall into. You know, I really, really do, and I can't. I struggle so much to just do it occasionally. You know.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
if I were to start smoking weed again, I might be able to keep it to try to keep it to like maybe weekends, but like I wouldn't stop. Like every weekend I would be doing it. You know what I mean? Like it would be. It's always such a struggle to not do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I have so now in a week it'll be 2 months.
Nice.
So that's really exciting. That's super awesome.
That's good. Yeah.
But say, for example, if I were to go out and buy a pre-roll,
Yeah.
right? One joint pre-roll. Usually they sell them in like a 1 gram joint or whatever.
Mm.
I'd probably smoke about half of it, or about 2/3 or whatever,
Yeah.
and then I would save the rest of it, and then I'd be like, well, I don't want to throw it away. I bought this whole thing,
Yeah.
and then the next night I'd smoke the rest of it.
There, yeah.
It's there. Of
It's
course,
there.
I'm gonna smoke the
You're
rest of
gonna
it.
do yeah.
And then the next day after, in the morning, I'm like, fuck, man, like, I really want to smoke again.
And then you get that desire, that urge, right?
And then
it's so hard to say no.
And then it's like, well, I don't want to buy a couple grams
Yeah.
because then I'm gonna definitely get back into the loop.
Fully into it, yeah.
So I'm gonna buy a pack of 3 pre-rolls.
Okay.
That's it, just 3 pre-rolls. And then, they're only half grams each or whatever. And then you go and you buy it and then whatever. And then you have it at a night. And then a few nights go by of smoking every night. And then all of a sudden it's like, shit, man. I'm almost out. You smoke all the joints. You smoke all the roaches when they're almost done.
Yeah.
And then after you get into it and then you're like, well, I may as well buy another pack of pre-rolls.
Yeah.
Same cycle. And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
it's been a week and a half, 2 weeks of smoking every day. And you're like, I'm wasting so much money on these pre-rolls.
That's it.
I just got to buy an ounce. And then you buy an ounce. And then you have a fucking... Well, because you go, I'll buy 3 grams.
Yeah.
That's it. Roll a couple joints, whatever. It takes you a week or 2 weeks to get through the 3 grams. And then you're like, shit. I don't want to get pre-rolls again. I'm smoking all this much, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you want to buy half ounce, you buy a full ounce or whatever. And it's so easy because, the dispensaries that we have around, you walk into a store like it's a freaking liquor store and then you just buy however much you want. Like, you could walk away with a stupid amount of weed if you want.
Yeah.
But, and then it's like $100 for an ounce, which is super cheap. Because growing up it was always $10 a gram, whatever. The cheapest I ever got growing up was like $250 for an ounce.
Really?
Or like $240 for an ounce, which is like crazy. But at the time, I wasn't buying big amounts very often. Yeah. And people I was buying it from knew I was a kid, so they were like, fuck it, I'll just make this kid pay almost gram for gram for whatever.
Yeah. That's
like, Yeah. So it was a whole thing.
Yeah. For me, it's, I don't know, do you know when you go to a bar and you're like, maybe I'll just like go for like one. For me, I love wine. I'm a sucker for wine. Mm-hmm. But, when you go to the bar and you have a drink or two and you're like, okay, now I'm feeling pretty good. And then you're like, but, you were going to stop there. But then all of a sudden, you're kind of buzzed and you're like, fuck it, why not? And you just keep drinking, you just keep buying drinks and drinks and drinks. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like pretty good, you're pretty buzzed. And then, you spent like $60 and you're like pretty fucking drunk,
Yeah.
Drunk. So for me, like your story there sounds like it sounds like a longer term version of that, where it's like, okay, I'll try one joint. Okay, maybe I'll get a 3-pack of joints. Okay,
yeah.
Sure. Try that. You just do that a few times and you're like, fuck, I'm spending so much money on this. And it's so good.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're just fucking hooked on it again. You get an ounce, you're not gonna stop until that ounce is gone. And then maybe you have a chance to stop. Not guaranteed, maybe, Maybe you can call in that willpower.
It's hard.
For me it's not willpower, it's like a certain time. Certain times I'm able to stop. Yeah. Other times I'm not at all. When I was smoking cigarettes, I couldn't just stop. Like there's no fucking way. It had to be a certain time when I could be like, okay, I don't feel like I need it as much as I used to or as I normally do. Yeah. And then that's when I'm able to stop. Same with anything else. With coffee, I get addicted to coffee.
Oh yeah.
I start drinking coffee in the morning, and I go to work. And I'm like, I might as well get a coffee. I fucking want a coffee. And then every day I'm drinking fucking coffee. Yeah. And it's not bad. It's not necessarily that bad. But
it's a stimulant.
It's not something that I want to be dependent on.
Yeah.
And then before I know it, I've had fucking 2 coffees a day for a week, and then I'm fucking tired as fuck if I don't have one. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, this has to stop. Yeah. Like no more of this. This can't keep going. Yeah. So I think it's the same with any substance. and I've never tried anything too hard, you know. Like I think if I tried like cocaine or
Yeah.
fucking, I don't know, heroin, which is pretty extreme, but if
Yeah,
I
that's
tried
a
any of
bit
that, I would never stop, you know. I think that would be it. I think
Yeah.
I would be, you know, spending all my money on it, and
That's why I think it's such a dangerous
I would
thing.
be on East
especially-
Hastings Street.
Well,
You know,
right?
permanently.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be it. Yeah.
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 Fucking.
I mean, I think the best way to stay away from those things, if you ever were to try something, which I mean, I don't know, it's not necessarily worth it. I think you can get a similar effect from everything else with different levels of exercise,
Yep.
weed, or coffee.
Okay.
Or even Red Bull.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's
Caffeine.
just
Caffeine.
caffeine
Yeah.
in general, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Caffeine can be a replacement for a majority of the uppers, right? I mean, in the right circumstance and setting.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't have caffeine for like ever, and then all of a sudden you have like 2 espresso shots.
Then you're just fucked.
Wired,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You're just like,
Also,
it's such a high, you know.
Woo!
You just
Right?
fucking that's it.
Well,
It's such a legal, like normally socially accepted as fucking high.
so I'll tell you this story. I was working between my 2 jobs, right? And I was doing a double that day. I had already done like 7 days in a row, and I was just exhausted.
Yeah.
And then one of the cooks was like, because I'm training on bartending, right? And they're
Yeah.
like, as the initiation or like the part of like coming part of the group, the cooks ask, like the sous chef and the head chef ask, hey, can you make us an iced coffee? You know, this is part of the thing.
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, no problem, right? And so then I go and then I ask the one bartender, you know, how do you usually make it? They said they like yours. And so then I go and take a bit of his advice in mind. And he was doing with cold brew coffee,
Okay.
and I went and I got espresso,
Okay.
right? And so with the espresso, I did 3 shots of espresso, and then I mixed it with some other shit and whatever, and then some milk and syrup, and we got salted pecan syrup that's really nice.
Okay.
And then we mixed it a whole bunch of stuff together, and then I put it into 3 glasses, so it's like 1 espresso shot per each.
Yeah.
But when I had a sip of it, I kept tasting it and saying, okay, what's it like?
Mhm.
And then I got to like a spot where I was happy with it,
Yeah.
but it was like rocket fuel.
Yeah.
I was like, I went from like falling asleep
Yeah.
after working for like 12, 13 hours
Yeah.
because of the morning shift of 8 hours and then a few
Yeah.
hours off, and then night shift of the next place where I knew I was 6 more hours before I was done.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, I'm so tired. Okay, yeah, this coffee will be good.
Yeah.
And I had it and it felt like freaking rocket fuel.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking that to myself. I'm like, this shit is so strong.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Uh-huh.
And it made me from like falling asleep and so tired. And I was like, okay, let's go. I was like really hyped and really energetic. And
Yeah.
I was like ready to freaking, I could like run,
I fucking love.
Right?
I love that feeling.
you know? And so it was just like, it was like a shot of adrenaline, like
Yeah.
straight to my heart. And I was just
Yeah.
like, okay, what do I do? And the thing was, as soon as I gave everyone the coffees and I started drinking mine,
Yeah.
it was quiet at the restaurant. And so I'm like, what the fuck?
Seriously,
And so I'm like, there's nothing going on at the bar.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, right? And then
Yeah.
like the glassware isn't coming in for me to really clean and polish. And then I'm like, there's not food to run. There isn't like much. So I just grab a tray. I start walking around. I'm like, where can I clear plates? And you know, how can
Yeah.
I help or whatever? And I'm just trying to be helpful anywhere I can
Yeah.
because I'm just like shaking with energy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do I even do? Like,
Yeah.
so I'm just going around trying to like be helpful and shit. And I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, here we go. You know, and then
He's like, do
eventually,
you guys need any more iced coffee? He's like, please let me make you some fucking coffee.
yeah. And so now they.
What was that?
Headphones. And so now, the one guy always asks me, like, hey, iced coffee? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. And I was making iced coffees, and it was happy hour, and I didn't really, like, clue in that it was, like, happy hour. And I see 2 other bartenders, like, slamming out drinks, and I'm just like,
Oh.
and then I look over, and dude's like, hey, when you're done that, can you help us with drinks? And I'm like, oh, yeah, for sure. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck, I feel bad.
Yeah. That's
But-
fucking awesome.
You know, it is what it is. But yeah, no, man.
I find we've been talking about this the past little while, but cold showers for me
Cold
give me that
showers.
natural energy boost.
Oh, yeah.
So the past what's
Day
it been?
6.
6 days. Yeah,
Yep.
it's been 6 days now. This morning it felt like nothing.
It was
I
the
walked
easiest
in,
shower I've had all
it totally
the whole
was,
time.
right?
Yep.
I cranked it to maximum cold.
Yep.
It was like 6 in the morning. I'm like, I just fucking woke up 10 minutes ago, and I'm like, okay, here we go. It's just so routine now. I don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
I fucking get in the shower, and I'm like, okay, this is not even that bad.
It's not even that
But
bad.
the morning before, I was like screaming. You know, I was like, I had no time to wake up. I was like, fuck, here we go. I fucking drank it to cold, and I get in, and I'm like, oh my god. And I'm like, I gotta go quick. I started like washing my hair and, my body, and I'm like, okay, fuck, we're done. But the past 2 mornings I've forgotten a towel in my bathroom.
Oh shit!
So I'm like dripping with freezing cold water.
Live alone now.
I live alone now, which is fucking awesome. Yeah, but so it's not a big deal in that aspect. But for me, like walking from the bathroom to my bedroom to get the towel, I always keep my windows open a little bit, so I always have like fresh cold air coming in. So my apartment's pretty fucking chilly, So I'm like walking through, I'm like, holy fuck, it's so cold, But this morning again, it wasn't that big of a deal,
No.
It just became kind of normal.
Yeah.
But the past few days, man, I have felt so fucking good, At
Yeah.
like, random times in the day, my energy levels just fucking go up,
Yep.
Like completely random, and I don't normally have this without coffee. This is when I drink a coffee, I get that same effect. But now the past 2 days I haven't had one, But I've just been fucking just taking these cold showers, and it just feels so good. About it, I just fucking love it. What? What's up?
I think I fucked up.
What? What's up? It's okay.
We're gonna have to take a look after and then see how much is actually
That's okay.
shit.
That's okay. What's up?
So I put some hotkeys on this thing to kind of make it like easier.
Yeah.
And P is pause,
Huh?
and M is mute. So whenever I looked up cold shower effect on dopamine,
Yeah.
I think I paused it and muted it, and I noticed halfway through that
So
I
it's
was
still recording.
Yeah, but here it was paused. So like that.
I
I mean, whatever we got is whatever we got. So
It says 36 minutes.
okay, so yeah, we've been talking since 6:00. So
What time is it now?
7:45.
That's okay.
That's fine. Well,
Yeah,
whatever. Take one. We got a bunch of good shit.
Yeah,
If not,
okay.
it's fucking fun conversation anyway.
Fuck
So
yeah, it was good.
yeah, man, that's funny as shit. That's so funny. Well, I mean, ironing out the kinks, right?
Yeah,
We're
for
figuring
sure.
out all the shit.
Fuck yeah, dude. It's gonna happen the first few times, definitely. Definitely.
I'll have to learn about. Oops.
No, it's all good.
Because initially, when I was setting this up, I set it as spacebar was start and stop recording.
Okay.
But then I started typing stuff in, and then it was starting and stopping here no matter what. Because I would think when you clicked off of it, it wouldn't go. But I guess, it's just playing with the technology. So
That's okay. We'll fucking do it again.
whatever.
Do it again for sure.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Damn, only 37 minutes. Shit.
That's okay. Hey, that's a good bet. We can fucking take a look at it and see what's been
Oh, that's so funny.
and what hasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like an hour of conversation, just like gone.
No, it's all good.
Oh, funny.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
We'll fucking we'll figure it out.
Oh, good.
We'll fucking keep doing it. Yeah, because this is fun.
It's
I
fun.
like this, yeah.
It's been fun. It's been shooting the shit, just talking about random shit.
Yeah.
And I think if we look at and we look at like basic shit that's like going on in the news of like whatever's random shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the idea of going through here and going. I don't know. It's different news type shit, or even stupid Instagram stuff, right? And then, okay, let's look at this one. 16 rules for women. 1, never go back to a man who cheated.
I think that goes for either sex.
Of course. Do you know any women who went back to a man who cheated on them? Many. It's almost like a pattern. Man or woman disrespect you, fair enough. But I mean, sometimes.
That's kind of.
But is it like disrespect, or sometimes you're just like telling them the truth and you just can't handle it?
But also, like, it depends on the culture too, right?
Very
like
true.
If you're from a fucking different culture, like, there's so many lines where it's like, okay, You
Like-
just said that to me this way. That feels disrespectful, but to them, you know, it was normal. Or
If you're in
to you, it was
Italy
normal.
and you break the pasta noodles in half and put them in the water, that's normal as shit in North America.
Yeah.
But in Italy, you're like smacking your grandmother in the face. It's like, how dare you break my pasta
I
noodles?
remember one time you sent me this video on Instagram where it was white person taco night. You remember that?
White people taco night. Yeah.
Get the taco shells
From the grocery store. And the
That's
ground
so good.
beef from the grocery store. It's like, where else are we going to get it? Bro, what do you want me to do? You know?
It's so funny.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
good.
Never shake a hand sitting down. Yeah, I agree with that one.
I mean, you know what? I think I have once.
Have you?
Or twice. Like probably a couple times in my life, but like recently, I remember I was sitting down and then someone stuck their hand out to shake me, and I was just like, I'm already sitting. Like, I wouldn't sit down to shake your hand,
Yeah.
but now that I've been sitting for a while and you put your hand right in front of me, my instinct is I don't want to ignore your hand.
Yeah.
I should have stood up, right? You just do the extra 2 seconds to stand up, but I just shook it, and then I was like, oh, this feels so awkward.
Yeah, right? Because you're shaking their hand, yes, but it's like such
Yeah.
a sign of disrespect. It's like fuck you up there. Like, yeah.
It's like, I'm not standing for
Exactly,
you.
right?
You're not worth standing.
Yeah, it's like the national anthem, you know? It's
Yeah.
like you know, are you gonna
Do you stand for the national anthem? In your school, did they ever do half French, half English?
I was homeschooled.
Oh.
Yeah.
At home, did you ever do the national anthem growing up?
Yeah.
Because it was like a thing every single morning.
Mm.
We listened to the national anthem.
Yep.
And then for like a year,
Yeah.
randomly at one school, 'cause I went to like 5 different schools.
Yeah.
At one school, randomly, it was half the time was what's it called? In French.
Really?
It was like half the anthem was in French.
Most of mine was English.
Most of the time, we didn't know what they were saying, but we learned what the song was saying. We learned the words.
Yeah.
I mean, I did because I was paying attention. Like, I don't know. I'm really like pay attention to the words of music and shit. But yeah.
You just like French too, don't you?
Now, no. I still don't. I speak French decently. I don't know the national anthem in French.
Yeah.
I could probably listen to it a few times and then be like, oh, okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Never go broke to impress others.
You ever spend way too much money on somebody for a date or whatever? One time, I met this girl at a tattoo shop. You know, she was working at the cashier, right?
Yeah.
She was like really cute,
Yeah.
but then whatever. And then we went on a couple dates,
Yeah.
and then things were kind of whatever. I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't over the moon, but it wasn't like terrible.
Yeah.
I was like, sometimes it's a slow start and whatever.
Yeah.
And we went for this dinner date, and I mean, I was like, normally I like to get a bottle of wine for the table, and then we get an appetizer, and we each get a main, and then if it's really nice, we'll get a dessert, or we'll get like coffees or whatever. It was like after the tip, it was like $200 for the date. So I was like, I've definitely spent way more
Yeah.
on dates. Like definitely with my girlfriend now, like I like to go all out and whatever. Now, now I'm kind of broke, so I don't as much. But broke boy. But so I probably spent like $400 or $500 like on a date, and it's like that was for like special big nights, right? But I mean like not all the time. Anyways, so then the next day she just texted me, hey, I don't really think it's gonna work out, whatever. And I was like, fucking serious?
Yeah.
You knew this last night for sure.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
But you didn't want to help pay for the fucking food bill, like, at all. Like, you didn't want to, like, mention it. Like, that's kind of a piss off. And it's not like, she had to or whatever. Like, I was the one ordering all this shit. But it was, like, I don't know, kind of like a shitty
Yeah,
thing.
I feel like when I was younger, like, that's when I kind of got that out of me, Like, I would, like, even just, like, buying, like, drinks or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, I'll buy your drink, like, no worries. Like, it's all good. It's on me. And, like, it was fun and everything. But eventually it just kind of became, like, routine. And I was like, okay. Like maybe maybe not, maybe we don't do this, and for me it became like a huge respect thing when the girl would be like, yeah, I'll pay half, or sometimes even like if she just pays for the whole thing, it's like, whoa, really? And they're just like, yeah, next time you get it. And it's like,
even if it's just
like,
even just for like coffees or whatever, just like small things. That's the thing now, where like generally if the bill is like big at all, I try to pay for it, and then if it's like under whatever, then I'll let my girlfriend pay for it. And that feels like an appropriate split, because then it's like, she still gets to pay, and she feels like she's paying for stuff, but it's like,
that's the thing, it's like a cooperation, right?
Yeah,
a relationship is not on one side.
And then sometimes she'll pay for stuff and I'm like annoyed, and I'm like, no, I wanted to pay for this. Like, you know, and it takes a bit of like the, you know, oomph out of it and whatever.
Yeah.
I had a cousin who, well, yeah, I think he's still alive. I don't know, he had a rough bit of it. He told me he was homeless for a while. He was doing some crazy drugs and shit. And
Was he on East Hastings Street?
it may as well have been. Actually, he was living in Sudbury for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
He was from Northern Ontario, but now he's over there. Anyways, he told me he was dating this girl where she was all about designer bags and really expensive shit, and he was like going super broke. He said he was always broke, trying to satisfy her because all she wanted was the most expensive shit.
Yeah.
And you could only get her so much with the money he had, and he was like dirt poor.
Yeah.
Because of this chick. And I'm like, dude, stay away from her. He's like, yeah, you know, she cheated on me, dude. I'm like, yeah, no shit. She's a fucking crazy chick. She don't give a fuck about you. She just wanted like nice shit that you were getting her.
Yeah. And that's the thing is you can usually see it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Never eat the last piece of something you didn't buy. Mm-hmm. This bitch. But wait, hold on. So you're telling me that if you go to dinner and then you eat the end of the steak, like you eat the last bite of your meal, and then someone else pays for it, like, do you like have to insist that you pay if you eat your whole meal, right?
Or it goes along the same lines of like when you're on a date and like, you know, the girl just starts eating your food. You know?
Oh.
And it's like it's normally that's fine, you know, like it's
if you ask,
attraction,
or if we're comfortable to an extent, if you take a fry, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you take a piece of my steak and you have your own whole last meal,
fucking cutting your steak. She's like, oh, thanks. I've never had that happen. I think.
Like, I think I'd just be so stunned. It'd just be like jaw to the floor.
Like first.
And then after, I'd just be like,
don't mind if I fucking.
Yeah.
Savor your steak there.
Yeah. I mean, at worst, I've called the waiter over and told him to cancel a drink.
Oh,
They're
yeah?
like, you know what? No, I don't want the drink. I'm just gonna leave.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I was just like pissed off, and I ended up like hanging out for a bit, but it was just like, fuck.
I don't think I've ever left a date halfway through. Like I think I've always.
No.
You know, it's always been like, you know, you finish it, and then you just don't call her back.
I had one. This was so funny. This is one of my favorite stories. I had a time where, you know, a lot of like different random like Tinder dates, you know, Hinge, whatever, just online dating shit. And then I met up with this chick and we went to the mall. Yeah. And we go and I was there and we got coffees.
Okay.
And she wasn't talking very much. Like almost nothing. Okay. Fucking barely talking. And so I'm like, okay, whatever, no problem. Well, let's and I thought to myself, I'm going to try an experiment. She's barely talking. So I've been trying to pull conversation out of her. She's not really saying much, you know. I'm telling stories, whatever. She's barely responding. She's not telling any stories about anything. So I'm like, okay, let's sit on this bench. And I was like, yeah, let's sit over here. So we sit on this bench and I'm like, in my head, I think, I am not going to say anything to start a conversation with her until I finish my coffee. I had like over half my coffee left. And so we just sit there in full silence in the middle of the mall, drinking our coffees. And then as soon as I finish my coffee, I sit there and I'm just kind of looking at it for a minute. I'm like, well, it's been great hanging out with you. I got to go. I got stuff to do. But, you know, we'll keep in touch and, you know, yeah. And it's like, I'm not going to tell her and be like a total dick and just be like, you were so boring. You didn't say shit. I'm going home.
It's like talking to a wall,
You know, like she wouldn't have answered anyway. So I just... So I'm just like, all right, well.
That's the worst. I've been having that problem lately.
Oh, yeah?
Like a lot of women, like, oh, yeah, I'll just go out and get a coffee or something, and you know, like I was seeing this Australian girl a while ago, and she was super cool. You know, we met at a bar, and you know, we hit it off pretty fucking well, and I was like, man, this chick's fucking awesome. You know, she's like traveling around the world. You know, she's been to around Europe and you know, North America, and I don't know if she went to South America, but she's been like fucking all these places. She's telling me, you know, she visited all these different countries. And I was like, fuck, she's awesome. And then, you know, we kept going on more and more dates. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. It just got so slow, you know? See, like, she's kind of stopped talking a little bit. And we just didn't have that connection, you know? It was just like, I don't know. Maybe we just ran out of things to say. You know, we told each other all of our stories. And
Okay, I have some questions. I have some questions for the story. Yeah. So, you went on how many dates approximately? 3 to 5, 5 to 10?
I don't know. Let me think. So we met at the bar.
Yeah.
That's when we had a really good conversation.
Okay.
We went to another bar, and then we went for a long walk by the river, and then fucking went and got coffees. Maybe like 5 or 6.
Okay. At any point in any of those, did you make a move, or did you guys make out, or did you like anything like that?
No, just like just a little bit of touching. That was it.
See, I think she was Australian.
Yeah.
Australians are intense.
Yeah.
From what I've learned about Australians,
yeah.
Intense people.
Okay.
I think after 3-4 dates,
yeah.
you should have at least tried to kiss her or tried to do something, because if you keep on going out with another date with her, that means she's still interested and whatever. And then usually after the first date, maybe after the second date, usually on the first one, I try to see if you can like gauge for a kiss. And if you can't, then probably not great, right? And then after 2 or 3...
She kind of had this thing where she really had a hard time keeping eye contact. And that's what kind of threw me kind of away from it, because I was like, well, I was gauging it. I was like, maybe I could go for it. And then one night, like I was like, okay, at the end of this conversation,
today's the day.
I was like, today's totally it. You know, we were like talking, and we come back from the bar, and we stood in front of this building for fucking, I don't know, like an hour and a half just talking. And I was like, okay, like this is pretty good. This is fucking great. And then she's I don't know, she was a little bit awkward, and she kind of like wasn't really looking at me, and she ended up just fucking like, I was like, okay, well, it's been a good night, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And she's like, okay, good night, and then she just fucking like walked away. And I was like, okay, that's, I guess, sure. And I don't know how much of that was, her maybe she had a bit of a social thing, or I don't know, maybe she just didn't want it. I don't know. But yeah, it didn't work out. But in the end, I just got fucking bored. I was like, okay, I just haven't talked to her since. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That's good for me. But
I'm like, fucking cunt.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh. Yeah. No, I mean, damn. Well, another thing is like, confidence goes a long way.
For sure.
And then you gotta find the border of like reading clues and seeing, if she's interested in you and stuff.
Yeah.
So a funny thing was, I was telling the story of me meeting my girlfriend, and like I was missing all kinds of clues. Okay. Because in my head, she was way out of my league. Okay. She was way hotter than I was, so I was just like, "There's no chance. Okay. Like, there's no way." Right? And then even at the first night we met at the bar, and then I asked if I could hang out with her and her friend and whatever, and then we went to a couple different bars and whatever, and then by the end of the night, I was like trying to think of like how to ask for a number, and she's like, "So you can ask me for my number?" I'm like, "Oh, oh shit!" Right? Nice. So like trying to think of the words like in French and shit, because it's just French, and so and then eventually and then the next day we were hanging out again, and then we were like hanging out outside, and it was kind of cold, and cause it was like October, it was like early November. Okay. And so it wasn't snowing out, but it was like pretty chilly out. Yeah. And we had some coffees, then we're like hanging out inside a park, and then she like invited me back to her place, and we were at her house, and we're like just like sitting on her couch just talking for a while, and I just kept thinking like, shit, I really want to kiss this girl, but I was like so nervous, because in my head I was looking at her and I was like, you are way too hot for me. You're like way more beautiful than anybody that I've ever, considered to be in my realm of possibility. And I was blown away that she wasn't a total bitch. The first time I met her, the first time I saw her, I was like, I wrote her off right away. I was like, she's probably a total bitch. She's probably like really annoying or really high standards. She probably won't look at me twice, whatever. She'll probably treat me kind of like shit because she thinks she's way above me. But then, the more I got to know her, I'm like, she's actually such a sweetheart. Like, it just didn't make sense to me that, but she was really liked me, and things went well, and so now things are going great. But I remember, and then I was telling the story to my mom and my sister, and they're like, well, obviously she wanted you to kiss her, like couldn't you tell? I'm like, no. The fuck, no.
Sometimes in the moment it's hard to gauge, right? Like, I don't know, but I do love it when a girl like makes that first move. It's fucking amazing. It's so nice. It's such a confidence boost, and also it makes me just so much more attracted to her because
Yeah.
she has those social skills, and it's like especially when she's very attractive, and you know, a lot of attractive people in general, I think, don't need to develop those skills as much as like
Because
less
things are
attractive
kind
people do.
of given
Because they just
to
get
them
it, you know.
more,
Yeah, it just happens, you know. If you're a beautiful woman, you know, any dude is gonna walk up and be like, hey, like, can I have your number, or do you want to do whatever, you know, do you want to come over to my place or whatever, and they're always just saying no, or yes, whatever. But they don't ever have to develop those skills, you know. I was seeing this one girl, and she was beautiful, and she had like blonde hair and blue eyes, and I fucking love it.
Yeah.
And you know, like, we go for ice cream, and we're hanging out and just having a fucking good time. And we were sitting by this river, and I was sitting on one rock and she was sitting on another, and you know, we're talking, and it's getting darker and darker, and it's fucking, you know, I'm like, yeah, this is a really nice lady, you know, fucking, this is great. She's like, do you mind if I come and sit on that rock with you? And I'm like, not at all. She's like, can I move closer?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, for sure. And she's like, yeah, you know, like, you know, we kept talking, and then we ended up, like, you know, making out and whatever, and you know, we hooked up and everything. But you know, it's just so nice, you know. It's nice when you don't have to do that work, you know. The fuck is this? Oh.
I'm trying to avoid typing the letter M. Don't want to.
You did it again, yeah. That's awesome.
Oh fuck, that's too much reading. There's a fun Reddit. I'm sorry, I wasn't ignoring your story. I'm just trying to. I'm thinking of another fun little pop-in, little segment just to kind of rant about. Okay. Ooh.
What's this?
Okay, this sounds interesting. Am I the asshole for getting an abortion and then filing for divorce? I don't know.
Depends on the context.
Depends on the context.
For sure.
All right. I, 33 female, and my husband, 35 male, have been married now for 2 years. While we were dating, the conversation of kids came up multiple times, and I had always expressed I did not think would be good enough mother for my children. A lot of personal trauma earlier in life. However, I had mentioned before that he would like to have kids, but respected my thoughts and decision on the matter. I married him under this notion. Here, you know what? We'll put it on. Put it like that. Oh, there we go. That works better. On this notion, I married him under this notion. Well, a couple months ago, I had some suspicion that I was pregnant. Went to the doctor, and he confirmed my suspicions. Thankfully, I live in a state where abortions are legal, and I thought about just going through with it on my own, but I decided to involve him in the process. As soon as I broke the news to him, he immediately became overjoyed, saying it was a great thing, and he was so excited. I promptly reminded him of our conversation about me not wanting children. He decided that the conversation was so long ago that he was sure I'd changed my mind by now, and now he was trying to persuade me every way he could. I got to the point where he was pleading me to not kill his child. Well, I decided to go through with it. The next couple of weeks or so after, he was extremely distant, muttered under his breath frequently that he would hardly look at me. I found out from my mother-in-law that he blames me for killing our child, and he can't forgive me for it. Damn, this is some deep shit.
That's pretty fucking weird.
Knowing that this is how he saw me now, I decided to get a divorce. When I told him, he immediately erupted, yelling the most words at me in a while. I didn't hear much of it as I was promptly left and haven't spoken to him or been back since, as I'm staying with my sister. That's such like a classic thing I always hear. I'm going to stay with my sister. I'm going to stay with my mom. This whole thing has been a nightmare. Well, yeah, you could have murdered a baby a little bit. Edit. I was on birth control at the time when I would have gotten pregnant. Edit number 2. I cannot begin to express how grateful I am for so many of you and sharing all these kind words. Sometimes words to strangers. Okay, this is just different support and shit. Am I the asshole for getting an abortion and then filing for divorce? So,
I think as the man in that relationship, I think I would struggle with that.
That's a struggle, man.
I want kids, you know. I really want kids.
I want to have some kids, man. That's the thing. But here's the thing.
And then imagine the excitement, like you would get, like, I just got a girl pregnant, And
It's like, dude,
like, maybe,
finally, we're gonna have a
maybe in
family.
good
This is
situation.
it.
Yeah. And
This
like,
is it.
maybe she's fucking, she's gotten her.
And then,
You know, she wants
assuming that
kids
she's
now.
coming from the mindset of like excitement or whatever, or maybe nervousness, but like wanting to go through with it and whatever. But then it's like, what the fuck? And then it's like,
Yeah.
I think it's like because it was the within a moment raising the dreams and then shattering all at once.
Yeah.
And then it also changes what you think of the person a little bit.
Exactly, and it's like imagine if you really loved her. Now you've got the conflicting feeling of like absolute anger and maybe fucking hatred, you know,
Yeah.
depending on what it is. But it's like you just get like yesterday you loved her, you know, so and then she just leaves you.
So I think
that would be a huge like range of emotion, you know. I would be so conflicted. I just wouldn't know.
I think that's something you need to sort out before you get married. You know, you gotta figure that shit out before, and you can't go, oh well, I assumed because of this conversation, or I assumed that time passed and then it figured it out and then it's whatever. Like, you gotta have a solid understanding. I definitely want kids and you definitely don't. So is that something that we can live with, having the difference of that in our lives?
I have a couple of friends who were, you know, with different women or with the same woman for, you know, 4 years, 4 years. And then, you know, the dude was like, okay, you know, how do you feel about kids? And the girl was like, no, like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
And then the guy was like, I just fucking wasted 4 years with you. Like, okay, but you did, like, why didn't you figure this out before, you know? Like, you have to know if you're dead set on either having kids or not having kids, you need to figure that out with your significant other.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. I mean, definitely before making it super permanent, right?
Yes.
Super long term. I think in early dating stages and stuff, it's okay to
fun, you know?
not be sure and stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, before like looking into like super serious life partner type shit, you gotta really have it set and settled down.
Yeah.
And then sometimes maybe you want to make that sacrifice. Maybe you can find some kind of, compromise, right? I know there's some people, it's like they just don't want to have the pregnancy because they don't want to have the whole hormonal changing, and they don't want to have to push a baby out of their
body changes.
Their whole body changes. Everything. So many things, right? They don't want to put on all the baby weight. They don't want to do all this stuff. So maybe you can look at doing adoption of sorts, right?
I feel like that would be tough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then that's it. It's like, I kind of want my genes. You know?
Right, yeah.
I want little me's running around.
Have you ever tested your
sperm?
Yeah.
No.
I've thought about it. I haven't done it.
It's kind of scary though. You know, it's like, what if this whole time you just can't even, you're just infertile?
I think it's good to know.
So here's a good question. Here's a good question. Okay. If you found out you were infertile, cannot have kids, but you were with a lady who was down to have kids and she wanted to have a family and you wanted to have a family, would you ask to use your brother's sperm to keep it your own family's kid who kind of looks like your family, kind of in the same gene pool, same parents, so it's the same DNA mostly? Or would you just say fuck it and just adopt or something else completely outside of your family?
I don't know. That's a tough question because, like, I feel like it could be kind of complicated if I used my brother's. You know,
because then he might be like, "Oh, it's my kid," right? And then he's like, you know, and you would definitely do it medically. You wouldn't do it like, "Hey, fuck my wife." Because I've got a little brother, 6 years younger, and like, you know, if it really came to that. Maybe he's like, really smart. So
maybe if you're like really desperate, like I don't. But for me, I've also heard of a lot of stories where people are told that they're infertile, you know, and they're like, I had this teacher in school, and she was like, you know, my I think it was her boyfriend, or I don't think they're married yet, but she was like, you know, I was told that I couldn't have kids, and my boyfriend really wanted kids, but like it didn't really work out, and that was fine, and they kept dating and they're, you know, having a lot of sex and just having fun, you know, they're like, he doesn't have to wear a condom, you know, it's just fucking just whatever, you know, no kids involved, like, all right, let's go. And, you know, they just fucked all the time, and then became pregnant.
Oh.
And she was like, oh, fuck. Okay.
I mean,
And then she had like 3 kids. You know? So maybe try it yourself, like independent of what a doctor says. You know, because they could be wrong. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. They could have run it wrong. The test could have come back wrong. Fucking who knows?
Yeah.
Well, just try for yourself. You just don't know. And I think that goes with that goes to a lot of medical advice. You know.
Yeah.
We were talking about yesterday, like people who are told that they're about to die. You know, it's like you've got a
month, 6 months.
Yeah, you've got this long to live, and then it's like, well, okay, I guess I'm gonna go and live the rest of my life in the best way that I can, and then they just don't die. And then, you know, it's like
they're just not dying.
Yeah, they're like, this is good. I'm kind of confused why I'm still alive, but like, am I gonna die? And then the doctor's like, well, we don't know. You know, that's it. We just don't know.
Who knows, man?
Yeah,
that's some wild shit.
Yeah, it is. It is. Time is it? 8:14. Okay.
Shit.
I should probably go soon.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been like 17 different topics and 1 hour of paused, so it didn't actually record. But,
well, hey, we've got 1 hour.
There we go.
That's pretty good.
There we go,
That's
man.
pretty good.
Fuck
good
yeah.
First podcast.
There we go, dude.
I'm Sam. I'm Jacob. You know, at the end of the
Jake and Sam at the end of our episode 1. You know, well, King's Corner podcast, and you know, not to abort this episode, but fuck it.
We had a little bit of a paused section. You know, we kept talking for about an hour, and
we were men at pause. Men were paused. Oh
yeah, perfect.
We had a little men were paused section, and then it is what it is. So, anyways, it's been great. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Fuck yeah.